Hello everyone, Nev here, and today I am doing a Valentine's Day tarot tag, and this one is hashtag, I think, loveliest decks, hashtag loveliest decks, and it was by Simply Han. I was going to also try to combine this with Chanel Days's Valentine's tag, but I already had this one planned, and so I'm going to just proceed with this one, but I definitely want to shout out her tag too. So definitely check out her tag. All right. So this one has 8 prompts. All right, we're going to start this off with the Heartthrob deck. And this is a deck that was love at first sight. So I chose my Gourmet Tarot. Of course I chose this. All right, here we go. Woo, hello. I just painted my nails, so I'm trying to be careful with how I grab things. All right, so, and I just put these on upside down. Yes, I did. So, of course, this is the bag that I made for it. I think it did a pretty good job matching. Yeah, I love this. I love this bag. So that's part of what led me to choose this deck for this prompt. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just like immediately fell in love with this deck as soon as I saw it. And I think it also helps that my husband also encouraged me to get this deck because he loves to cook. I don't really like to cook. I'm not very good at it. I get kind of anxious in the kitchen, but I don't feel anxious looking at these pictures because I just kind of imagine that my husband, who is an amazing home cook, made this kind of stuff for me. And yeah, I just like, I think I also have a very sentimental value to this deck because my husband encouraged me to get it. So I already feel that sort of like draw to this deck. But then, of course, the artwork is just amazing. And I love this card. And just like it feels very dynamic. The images fit each of the cards. I don't know. It just makes sense. And I think there was a lot about this deck that just made sense, and because of that and the amazing art in this and the fact that this deck makes me think of my husband, I think I would choose this deck to represent him probably in a spread or something if I wanted to do a tarot reading for him or about him or something like that. I think I would probably choose this deck. So yeah, it was definitely a love at first sight. So we'll leave it on the extra card, and that is the fortune cookie. So that is my Heartthrob deck. So the next prompt is the Hopeless Romantic deck, and this is my most romantic deck. So I chose the Crystal Visions Tarot. And let me get it out of here. Love this cute little bag that I made for it. Yeah, maybe I'll keep the bags here while I showcase some of these decks. Yeah, so Crystal Visions. This is an oldie but a goodie, you know, and I've had this for probably since 2012, I think. It's one of my 2012 decks. I got a lot of decks around 2012, 2013, 2014, around there, and a lot of these decks came out at around that time, so that's why I call them my 2012 decks. But anyway, like it's a beautiful, beautiful deck, and it's very simple, and it's very fantasy, very like little girl fantasy. So I think that's kind of why I associate it with like the hopeless romantic, because it kind of makes me think of like when I was a little girl and the crushes that I would get, and it's very schoolgirl kind of crush deck. I don't know, and the fantasy of it, you know, it's very schoolgirl fantasy, if that makes sense. And but it is a very romantic deck in general, and yeah, it's definitely a deck I would go to for romantic style readings. Yeah, definitely my most romantic deck. Let's leave it on the Page of Cups. That's a kind of romantic card. We'll leave it on that. All right. Okay, so the next one is the Soulmate deck, a deck that you have a deep emotional connection to. And I actually had a very, very difficult time choosing this because the deck that I chose for the next prompt, I could have used for several of these, and I almost chose it for this one too. And if it wasn't this, I decided to put it to the next prompt, but if it's kind of the only one that sort of fits this prompt too. But because I already chose it for a prompt, I really kind of racked my brain to find a different one for this particular prompt, for the soulmate prompt. So I ended up choosing, and this may seem odd, but I ended up choosing my Morgan Greer. And of course it's in the bag that I made for it, which I think matches the deck like super, super well. And I have the one in the tin. I mean, look at this matching here. But yeah, I have the one in the tin, and I chose this because here's the thing. This deck is kind of an everyday reader for me for the most part. It's not one I would generally associate with romance, or it really is kind of a workhorse sort of deck, and it is kind of a go-to for a quick reading, and because I got the one in the tin, it is travel friendly, so it tends to be the one I bring with me on travel trips. Beautiful, beautiful card. Yeah, but I think I chose this because there really is, I really do have an emotional connection to this deck specifically. And yeah, and you know, a lot of people talk about how this deck kind of makes them think of older men in their lives, especially men that were like, you know, men that were probably in their 20s or so in the 70s or 80s, you know? And so like my dad or my uncles, things like that. So that it does have that kind of fatherly sort of vibe to it. And yeah, and because of that, I think that's where my emotional connection comes to this deck. It sort of has a very fatherly sort of vibe. So yeah, so I think that's kind of where I was going with. This soulmate deck is a deck that, you know, I feel like it's just always been around. It feels like an energy that's sort of been with me through lifetimes, and that's kind of what a soulmate is, you know. So that's why I ended up going with the Morgan Greer. But yeah, so we'll leave it on a bearded man here. But yeah, it's a very fatherly deck, and it feels very much like attached to me. So because of that, that is my soulmate deck. Okay, so this category is the self-love deck. So this is a deck that helps me reconnect with myself. Now, this is the deck that I chose for this is the one that I wanted to use for the last prompt. And I could also use it for a few other prompts, but I really had to narrow it down to just one. And so this seemed like the best one. So this is the Anna Kay. And I chose it for this category. This is my all-time favorite tarot deck. And this is an old bag, because I have had this deck for a very, very long time. And this was like one of the first bags that I made, so it's not as nice as some of my newer ones, but I'm very connected to this. I may at some time replace the hemp strings with some nice ribbon or something, but other than that, I think I'm just going to keep it as it is. And I love the Triskel that I embroidered on there. But yeah, so anyway, the Anna Kay is my favorite deck. It's kind of my therapy deck, I guess. I only use this deck for readings for myself. I do not use this deck for other people. This is my personal, like, emotional support deck, or reconnecting with the self deck. That's why I chose it for this prompt, because this is a deck that I only use for myself. I also could have chosen this as the prompt that's coming up of the only deck I would keep. Like if you could only keep one deck. Obviously, I immediately went to this one, but in the spirit of the tarot tag, I decided to choose a different deck for that. So, but ultimately, yes, this would be the deck that I would keep. If I had to lose all my other decks, I would probably keep this one. Yeah, so I chose a different one for the other one. But yeah, I love this deck. I think it's because the faces, and of course the last few cards I show don't even have faces on them. Like several of these. Here we go. The faces are very like emotive, and they kind of have like a Cabbage Patch doll kind of quality to them. So, which people kind of love or hate. I kind of love it. I like the sort of misshapen sort of body types here, like disproportionate. I think that's what I was kind of going for. Very disproportionate. Like they've got like their heads are a little bit too big for the bodies. They're just not quite in proportion, you know. But at the same time, it sort of feels like me, because I am an extremely short woman. I am only 4'10". This is like the tallest figure in the deck, and it's actually my least favorite card. But yeah, so like all these people seem like they're almost like hobbits or like really small, and because of that, I feel some sort of connection with these people. Like, yeah, they almost feel like Lord of the Rings dwarves mixed with hobbits, or you know, I don't know how else to explain it, but and I think because of that, their body shapes and stuff, I really feel connected to them. I feel like I'm kind of seeing me, because I'm so very short, and I don't think I'm necessarily disproportionate, but like, I don't know, it's and see, this figure seems very tall. And so, and here's that, like the angel of the devil. You know, we get the devil, or not the devil, but the death angel, and then we have this maybe not death angel, or maybe it is the death angel. I don't know. And the high priest also seems very tall. So yeah, it's a lot of the characters. Just, I don't know. I really connect with them somehow. This one gives off some Gandalf vibes because he also seems quite tall. But here, this character, I think, really, I feel like this is kind of me. So, yeah, so let's just leave it on that. So this is my, not soulmate, the self-love deck. Though I would also call this a soulmate deck, and also, ultimately, it would be the only one I would keep. But, yeah, so there we go. Okay, so next up is the Power Couple, and of course this is a tarot and oracle combination. So I could have chosen, and I almost did, I'm sorry if you're hearing a noise in the background. My husband is shoveling snow outside, and you can really hear the scraping of the shovel. But I almost chose my Mars Power Tarot with the Rujin Karu, the Dragon God cards. But honestly, I feel like we've seen a lot of that, and I'm kind of just like leaving it to its own thing for a while and not really bringing it into other videos. So, and this combination that I'm about to share is new to my collection. Well, one of the decks are, but the combination is new, and I absolutely love it, and I'm head over heels for it. And that is the Zelda Tarot, which I don't have a bag for yet, but I do have fabric for this, so a bag is coming soon. And the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit, which this bag matches the Wild Unknown Tarot. It's just got a zebra on it, and it's facing the other way. But all right. Okay, this combination is fabulous. Like, fabulous, fabulous. I really, really like... Oh, some of these are upside down. Okay. I really, really love this combination. These were upside down, too. Like, there's something about the way that the art is done in the Zelda Tarot that really matches. I must have really shoveled these all sorts of which way, but really matches the energy, the vibe. Let me cut this a big chunk here of the animal spirit here. I love this, the Ten of Swords here for the Zelda Tarot. It's just perfect. Yeah, I mean, I've used this a few times already because this is a new deck for me. So this is a new combination. That's kind of why I wanted to share this, because it is a combination that just works. Yeah, I really shuffled these all wrong here. Oh, well. Ooh, look at that. The Lion in between Tower and the Judgment. Wow. Okay. I am going to have to go through these and figure out what I did wrong here with my shuffling. Ooh, the Cobra in between the Six of Swords and the Devil. Ooh. And the bag that I'm making for the Zelda deck here, the embroidery I'm going to put on there is the Majora's Mask. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's, I don't really have my words here, but like, it's just every time I've pulled out this combination, it's just worked. And really, it's because I could have picked any of the Wild Unknown decks to go here because they all go really, really well with this Zelda Tarot. And I think it's the artwork. It's the thick line work. It's, let's see. Well, it's the thick line work and the bold colors and combining it with the really simple black and white with rainbow artwork of the Wild Unknown that just, they just draw each other in. We got the Emperor and the King of Coins with Stingray in the middle. Huh. All right. Man, I really did not shuffle these well. Page of Cups. Ooh, this is nice. Page of Cups and the Seven of Wands with the sea serpent in the middle. Very interesting. I almost feel like it's like defending a love, and then with the sea serpent there. Huh. Then we got tarantula. I'm just going to do another one. Sorry. I just like looking at the cards. Yeah, I mean, it works. I love this Knight of Cups. Perfect depiction of the Knight of Cups here. All right, so there we go. Okay, so the next category is the Secret Admirer deck, and this is a deck that I don't often use, but I still love. And there was actually several decks I could have picked for this, because, you know, I have a gajillion decks, and a lot of them get unused for quite some time, but I still love them. But I ultimately decided on the Cosmic Slumber Tarot, and the reason I chose this one is it's the vibe. It feels a lot more like it fits this sort of theme, the Valentine's Day. Not that I use this as a sort of love read deck or anything, because I really don't. And here's a little book that came with it. It's a really cute little hardbound book. I chose this because it's a very dreamy deck. And let me go ahead and do what I had been doing, which is leaving the bags up here. But this is a very dreamy deck. So it's very much a deck of like the subconscious, and it's dreams. It's the subconscious. It's kind of like waking dreams. So I kind of use this deck mostly for, if I'm not using it for an everyday reader, which, you know, I try to use most of my decks, cycle them as everyday readers, but when I'm not using this as an everyday reader, it just feels very much like a deck of the subconscious, a deck to explore my feelings. Okay, I just had to pause that real quick because hubby came back inside. But yeah, so it's a deck I kind of use to explore like subconscious things that I just haven't brought to the surface. Sometimes it's a deck that I might use to explore my dreams. And because of the nature of, you know, this deck, it feels like it, and the coloring too, it feels like it fits a bit better than some of the other decks I had thought of Secret Admirer sort of decks. So yeah, it's a very, very sweet deck. It's also a deck that, ooh, this is my favorite card. This was my inspiration for the bag. But it's a deck that makes me think of my oldest kid, who just turned 18, by the way. I can't believe I have an adult child. Like, I mean, like, I just graduated high school, what, like 2 years ago? So, like, I can't believe I have an adult kid. I'm just kidding about that, by the way. Not about her being 18, because she's 18 now, but yeah, anyway, so this deck makes me think of her. It's you know, for a long time her favorite color was orange, and now I don't know that she really has a favorite color anymore, so, but you know, this is a very orangey deck, or very peachy, and I think some of her color choices have gone more on the pastel side of things. So yeah, ooh, this is cute. Yeah. But the characters in here really make me think of her, so it's a deck that makes me think of my kids sometimes. yeah, so anyway, that is the deck that I chose for the Secret Admirer, a deck that I love, but I rarely use. So that is that one. All right, so the next category is the Forever Love deck. Now, this is the one where if I could only have one deck, what would it be? Now, like I said, if I was being ultimately truthful here, I probably would choose the Anna K. However, since I'm trying to use a different deck for each prompt, I went with the second one on that list, which is my Star Trek Tarot. And this is the one by Telekiad. It's the independent one. And here we go. All right. So yeah, of course, love this deck. I am a big Trekkie, so anything Star Trek, I'm probably gonna love. And I think, you know, I ultimately chose this for this prompt instead of the Anna K, because the Anna K, I think, is still mass market, so I could potentially still get it if I needed to. For a time. I don't know if it's still in print, actually. It might not be, but I think it is. So as of right now, it's still, like, you know, it's mass market, so I could get it again if I really need to. Whereas this one, it's like, this deck is still in print, I believe, but it's an independent deck, so it's maybe a little bit harder to get a hold of, you know? So I guess those were some of the things that I was thinking. I was thinking a little bit practical there for my choice. But of course, I absolutely love this deck. I rave about this deck a lot. I bring it out a lot. I love this deck. And I'm really looking forward to more iterations of Star Trek decks. I don't really like that mass market one. I really considered getting it because of how much of a Trekkie I am. I really considered getting that mass market one. It was the TNG one. But, and TNG is my favorite Star Trek. So, but it's just, you know, and the pips on it, it's just, but Telekiad is looking to get licensed for the other Star Treks. So, and I did see they made an announcement that they're working on another one. I think it was DS9. I think it's Deep Space Nine. I'm not sure, but yeah, and obviously whatever they come out with, I am going to get. You know, any of these Star Trek decks, I am going to get. And I kind of want to leave it on Spock here, but yeah. So. And this was also a gift from my husband, so it's also got that added value to it. So and it's a good reader. It really is, especially if you know Star Trek. And if you don't know Star Trek, it comes with a great book, which explains why they chose the scene for that card. And each card is an episode of the original series. And it says the name, and it's got like a little keyword and a reverse keyword, but I don't use reversals. And I don't always agree with the keyword, but I don't mind it. A lot of times that sort of thing would bother me. And I mean, it does have the little logo. Like, there are certain things with this deck that on principle would kind of bother me about a deck. But you know, it's such a well done deck that I really... I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. So yeah, and it's got information about the episode and symbols that mean certain things. I never really delved into the symbols, honestly. I've just kind of read the read the cards as I read the cards. So yeah, so that is the Star Trek Tarot by Telekiad, and that is my if I could only keep one deck prompt. So the final prompt is actually a single card, and that's kind of why I already have the deck out. This is the Pacific Northwest Tarot. This is the bag that I made for it, and I already took it out of the box that I keep in the bag, but here we go. So this prompt is the love letter, and this is it's picking a single card that sort of it feels like a love letter to myself or to someone special, and I chose to myself. And I picked this deck because the card that I'm choosing from this deck is probably my favorite tarot card that I've come across. So I'll just pull it. This is the Sun card. Yeah. And every time I pull this card, I just kind of like... It's so beautiful. Like, just the art on this. And there's something peaceful and serene and just majestic about this card. And I am going to put that right here. And so here's the thing. My favorite tarot card in general is the Eight of Pentacles. Because the Eight of Pentacles, kind of, the meaning of the Eight of Pentacles sort of, I feel very connected to that card. I'm an artist. I'm a crafter. I have an art studio. I spend much of my time in that studio. I'm always creating things. So, the meaning of the Eight of Pentacles is something I really connect to. And because of that, it's, in general, my favorite tarot card. In general. But when it comes to my favorite tarot card, singular, it would probably be this Sun card from the Pacific Northwest Tarot. It's just, like, I feel a sense of calm, a sense of serenity. I feel like, like, if I'm thinking about my troubles or if I'm experiencing troubles, this sort of energy is kind of a lifting from a depression sort of feeling. That's what it sort of feels like to me. And it feels very hopeful, which I think is generally what we think of when we think of like the Star card. But this Sun card feels hopeful to me. And so I felt like this was the right one to pick. And especially since, I'm kind of coming out of a little bit of a depression. TMI, I just had my period, so like that was adding to it. But I was just sort of feeling kind of down and not really able to quite pinpoint what it was that I was feeling, and where it was coming from, but just a general malaise. And I think maybe I'm coming out of that, but at the same time, I'm doing other things to help me sort of cope with this feeling. And I think some of it is that I'm feeling a bit burnt out with social media, not so much with my YouTube channel. Like this, I actually feel much more like I want to do videos for, but like my Instagram, which I normally post daily to, or almost daily. I'm feeling very burnt out on my Instagram, so I'm taking kind of like a little bit of a break from that. And I am, because there's a few things that I've wanted to, like, that I already had planned to do, so I'm going to keep those commitments. So I'm still going to post like my weekly study journal, and I'm still going to try to do some reading reels. So like 2 a week, basically. It's just reducing how much I'm posting on Instagram, just to kind of, I don't know. It's because I don't know that it's quite a depression. It's just, like I said, a general malaise, but, and a feeling a bit burnt out, from that particular, social media outlet. So like seeing a card like this, it is a sort of, it feels like that feeling of being lifted from a depression or something like that. So that's why I chose this card. It's a little bit of a love letter to myself, that, I can rise above this, and I'm shining and majestic and all these things that I can do. I can achieve what I want to achieve, and I can be above it all, and I can find peace and serenity. So there we go. All right, that was everything. Thank you so much, Simply Han, for starting this tag. And again, I want to shout out Chanel Days. She also has a V-Day tag, so go check that one out too. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye!